Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Shadow Ideas channel, to this new episode 3 of my little Blender tutorial series. Today I'm going to be showing you how to create this. So we're going to be using some rocky material, which is Procedural, in the shader nodes, and we're going to make a frozen glass or ice cube ice shader procedural effect. And we're just going to use a really simple scene setup, so let's jump into it. So we're going to open up a new project file in Blender. I'm going to press A, delete, and then we're going to go Shift A, plane. We're going to scale this up to about there, should be nice. And then we are going to add in a camera, and we're going to press Control or numpad 0 and just tinker with these settings a little bit. I want to use a value of 85.5, so it's tilted just a little bit, nothing on the Y, and 90 on the Z-axis. And we are going to go to the camera settings and use 35mm. And then we can just bring that back and just play with that until we get something like that. We're going to press on the plane, Control A to apply the scale, and then we're going to go to the edit mode, so click on the plane, press Tab, and make sure you're in Vertex Select, and select these two back points. Press E to extrude, Z on the Z-axis, and just bring it up like so. And then what we're going to do is go to the materials, make sure you're in face select now. We're going to create a new material, and we're going to name that emission wall, and then we're going to add another new material, and we're going to name that bumpy floor, like that. And I'm going to apply a little base color on them, just so we can identify which one's which. So nice magenta for the emission, and a green for the bumpy floor. So we're going to select the floor, select bumpy floor, and then assign. And then on the rear wall, with emission wall selected, assign. So if we go into our look dev, you can see that those materials have been applied to the corresponding face, which is brilliant. We can also see that because we've moved the camera around, we've got this open space here, so tab out of edit mode, and we're just going to scale along the y-axis so it's completely covered. Go back to your camera settings, and under viewport display, I've just got to move my camera, there we go. We're going to put the passport out all the way to 1 so that the camera only sees what the camera sees. You're not going to see anything outside of that box when we're in camera mode. Right, let's just mess around with our render properties. I'm going to be using cycles with GPU compute. Viewport samples I'm going to set to 300. Render samples I'm using 1500. I'm not going to render it in the video because it will just throw everything off. Under color management, I'm going to go to high contrast under the look. Fantastic. Pop me back there. Now I'm going to do Shift A, Mesh, Cube. Go back to the camera, and we're going to scale this up to about there, and then bring it up on the Z-axis to about there. That's quite good. I've got a very dry throat, I do apologise. We're just going to call that ice cube, and plane is going to be floor and wall. So with the ice cube selected, press tab to go into edit mode, and we're going to go to bevel. We're just going to pull up on this until we get a nice amount of beveling, and then you'll see this pop up at the bottom. Just click on that, and we're going to increase the segments to about 8. That's good. Tab out, and then right click Shade Smooth. So we have this sort of ice cube looking thing. The whole idea is it's going to be something you put in a drink. Well, that's the sort of ice cube I'm thinking of. And then lastly, we're going to do Shift A. We're going to do text, and we are going to go into Tab to edit the text, and we're just going to type in HE, uppercase H, lowercase e. Tab out. I'm going to press RX90 so it stands up, and RZ90 so it's facing the other way. We're also going to go to the text properties, and we're going to set the alignment in the paragraph to center, so it's nicely centered. G, Z to bring it up to about the middle. Scale it up to about there. Just center it up again. And then with it highlighted still, we're just going to add some geometry to it, so we're going to extrude it to about 0.05. That's pretty good. And then maybe add a touch of bevel with 6 resolution. So, can't see it? Brilliant. Under your world settings now, with your background color all the way to black. There we go, that's fine. And then under volume, we're going to add a principled volume, and we're going to use a small value. I can't remember what I used in my original. Let me have a quick look. Yeah. So we're going to use a value of 0.075. So you're not going to be able to see that yet. Now what we're going to do is have fun with the shading. So let's open up a new window here. Tell a lie, actually. I am going to do it here. That's better. And go to your shader editor. Let's start with the wall emission. We'll go to rendered view here, and we'll go to our camera display. Perfect. So, what have I got for that wall? We have a base color of white, an emission color of white, and a strength of 4. And then that is all we need to do for the back wall, which is just adding some light, bringing the roughness all the way down to 0 as well. Yep, perfect. Now we are going to go to slot 2, which is the muddy floor. So let's get this floor looking really nice. So let's go to there. So we are going to need to add the following nodes: noise texture, color ramp. We're going to need 2 of those, so Shift D. We're going to need a bump node. Don't know why I'm actually typing in node as well. And we are going to use, or I am going to use, the following settings. I'm going to use a scale of 13, detail 15, roughness keep as 0.5, and distortion of 1.5. I'm going to plug the color of that into this color ramp here, and then this color ramp is going to power 2 things. It is going to plug into the roughness of the material, which you can now start seeing there, and we're going to plug it into the height of the bump node, and then plug the normal of the bump node into normal of the principled BDSDF, so you can now see some sort of texturing there. And the distance I'm going to set to 16.5, just so the heights, the highs and lows are quite separated. Now with this color ramp here, that is also going to be powered by the noise texture. So where there's low, we can have one color, and where there's high, we can have another. So under color, we'll collect that up to the base color, and we will just play with these colours until you get something that you're quite happy with. So I'm going to go for a nice purple there, and maybe a blue there, and then we're just going to pull in. Actually, I'm going to flip the colour ramp. We're going to go for a nice darker blue there, and yeah, that looks good. So wherever there is high or low, you can see the effect sort of taking there. It'd be more visible if I changed this to like a red. I just want to play with this until you get something that's pretty nice. So you can see here from the top view, you've got red in the sort of crevices and purple on the peaks. So I'm going to just set that back to a blue, a nice dark blue. Yeah, that looks good. And you can always change the fall off mode to like ease, but I'm going to stick to linear for now. Now this colour ramp controls where the sort of base is, how much base there is. So if we pump that up, you can see the texture disappearing, and if we bring the whites in, you can see the peaks increasing. And this white is more rough and black is less rough, but we're going to go for about there. That's pretty good. Go back to a camera view. You can see how the emission is kind of scattering off the purples at the front. We could probably even increase that just a touch to 7. Yeah, that looks pretty good to me. Cool. So that one last thing we need to do is plug the normal of the bump into the displacement of the shader, and there we go. Oh, I've messed something up. That's fantastic. There we go. So there we are. Now let's start working on this ice sort of shader. So zoom in. That's pretty good. Maybe give us a bit more space. So let's go to material, which I will call ice. So let me just check what I've got here. Crikey. So we're going to need our principal BSDF, which we have. I added a principled volume into the volume of the material output. And then we are going to grab a noise texture. Whoops. Cannot type today. And a colour ramp. Like that. Plug the colour into the factor, and then the colour into the roughness. And then we're going to grab a bump node as well. We're going to plug the colour of this colour ramp into the height, and then the normal to the normal. Yep, cool. Now, one thing we're going to do is we're going to press Control Shift and click on the color ramp, and then we're just going to bring those blacks in. So black is where it's going to be completely see-through, and the white is going to be where there's roughness. And the settings I use, I switched this to 4D so I can control the sort of vector positioning. I used minus 0.8. I used a scale of 3.9, detail 15, roughness of 1, and distortion just 0.5. And that's quite a lot, so let's play with this scale until we get something. In fact, I would just recommend playing with these settings anyway to get what you would deem pretty. That's going to be too much roughness there, so I think actually that was good. About there. So now we are going to Control Shift click the principal BDSDF. You can see now that we've got this sort of rough looking, almost like a planet surface. So we're going to whack up the transmission. We are going to increase the IOR to 1.75, and we're going to change the density of the principled volume to 0.5. There we go, we've got a pretty nice looking ice effect. So if we go back to our camera view, whoops, you can kind of see where this frosting almost like goes over the cube, and you can just now start seeing the HE, the helium. One last thing I'm going to do in the ice node is just plug that normal into the displacement as well, and it just adds a little bit more. So I'm gonna increase the distance to 3.2 on that, so that should look, well, no, frosting's not going to be much, so yeah, keep it at 1. Or you can even take it down just a tad to, let's say, 0.5. See how that looks. Yeah, that's good. 0.3. So I'm going to stick with that. Now, the final material we're going to mess around with is the HE. So we're going to go new, and we'll just call this text emit. So you would think that I'm going to just use an emission, but no, I haven't done that. I have done the following. Keep your principled BSDF, set it all the way to metallic, no roughness, and that's that done. And then we're going to do Shift A, mix shader, plug that in there. Change the factor down to 0.137 is what I've used, so I'm going to keep that setting. And then we're going to add an emission shader. Plug that in like so. Strength 50. And I'm going to use a nice purple. And there we have it. So if we come out of that, we now have this ice cube with the helium symbol inside, and you can see, because we've got the principal volume, we've got this kind of fringing around the edge, so it adds like a bit of a glow. And in fact, we could probably reduce again that volume. That's still a bit too much, so let's just bring that in 0.36, 0.25. So this helium is now going to be glowing through the bottom, and it's going to be reaching the top and sides because we have this, what do we call it, the instant of refraction. And you could even animate this to spin around within the cube, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. It was quick and easy. I hope you enjoyed it. And if there's anything you do want to learn, any sort of shaders, procedurals that you do want me to teach you, let me know in the comments. Drop a like, maybe hit the subscribe button, help me out, and I'll see what I can do. But for now, I will see you in the next episode. Thank you for watching. And here's a little after video. Firstly, I want to apologise for my lack of energy in this video. I've been at work since 7:35 in the morning. Didn't finish till 4, watched the film afterwards, been collecting parcels. I feel like a delivery driver. I'm not. And it's taken me quite a few attempts to record this tutorial. The first one kept freezing, second one, Blender crashed, then resumed, so it froze, and then my computer decided to green screen. That's the pleasures of a Windows Insider build. I need to upgrade to the proper version. Now Windows 11 is actually out. And it's taken me 4 attempts to record this after video already. So I'm just a little bit kind of get it done. As I was editing the video as well, I noticed towards the end when I was talking about the helium emissive material, I say a lot. the recording froze on one frame. My computer decided to be a dick about it, so I've gone through, taken a picture of that node setup, which I shall show you now. Boom. This isn't Blender, just an image. So I've selected the text, obviously, kept the principled BSDF, base color of white, set the metallic all the way up, plug that into a mix shader node, factor 0.137, and then plug an emission material into shader into that. Color anything you want. In fact, I shouldn't have gone for purple, it didn't look too good in this. My original one, which I didn't save, it was just a personal project, I used an electric blue, looked a lot better, and set the strength of that to 50, so yeah, easy enough, but it still didn't come out too bad, but it just looks a bit flat. I could have added a bit more onto it, but as I've said before, I am constantly learning, evolving, all of this. There's so many different things I want to do. This is a image that I did for my brother, who is a DJ. Exactly the same sort of thing as this tutorial, as you can see. In fact, this is the original, and it went for like a fiery effect, fiery orange. So I've got the cylinder in the background, which is an emission tube, so that's by using an emission shader and layer weight. So on the edges it's transmissive, in the middle it's emissive, so it looks kind of cool, or very altered carbon style. I like that sci-fi effect. I'd love to do that sort of the modelling, that would be insane. But yeah, I've got so much I want to do. Like I'm going to make some planets, I'm going to do some light streaks, which I used to do in After Effects all the time. I loved it, using Saber by Video Copilot, free plugin, not a plug. Yes it is, it's a plugin, it's not a sponsor. Absolutely fantastic. I used to love using After Effects, but with Blender it gets so much prettier, so many more pretty results. I want to do some auroras over mountains, a tutorial I found on YouTube. It's just like over an hour long, and it's using an old version of Blender, so I might, if I'm able to recreate it, I'm going to recreate it in 3.1. And I think that's about it. I'd like to do the render challenge that Clinton Jones or Punisher has set, but I can't model humans. Chili might have to make an appearance. He is cute, but yeah, thank you for sticking with me. I'll see you in episode 4, and enjoy the rest of whatever you're doing today, tomorrow, tonight, whatever. Cool. Yeah, bye.